let me talk to you a little bit about what's on my tiny mind today. So, as we said, it's Devarim. We Jews call the fifth book of Torah Sefer Devarim. The rest of the world calls it Deuteronomy. And it sounds Greek to me because conveniently that's what it is. It means repetition in Greek. Deuteronomy is a second telling or repetition or review. Devarim means words. In other words, Moshe's final speech was the original greatest hits album. He gave history, he gave mitzvot, he gave warnings, encouragement, and he did it all, and he had no interpission in the middle of it. Just did it, the whole book. There is a famous question about who wrote Devarim, especially since the Torah later describes Moshe's passing. Writing your own funeral review, that's impressive. But even Moshe may have had drawn the line there. Whether Moshe wrote it, Yehoshua completed it, or God helped with the editing, Devarim clearly has its own voice from the rest of the Torah. It's reflective, it's urgent, and it's deeply personal. Tradition connects this scroll with the days of Yoshiyahu HaMelech, King Josiah, when a forgotten Torah scroll was found during repairs to the Beit HaMikdash. Apparently, even the temple had a corner for miscellaneous important documents. So when Yoshiyahu heard the words, he understood that the people had drifted badly and needed a serious spiritual reset. That is really the point of Devarim. Moshe is speaking to a new generation. They did not live through Mitzrayim, the plagues, or Sinai. They weren't there when the Aseret HaDibrot, the 10 statements, were given. They weren't there. They weren't born yet. They didn't witness the plagues. They weren't born yet. And they never lived in Mitzrayim. They were born in the wilderness. So they grew up knowing nothing but miracles. They had clouds to protect them. They had the manna. They had the quail. They had an unlimited supply of good tasting water that traveled everywhere with them. We could conclude that the wilderness had better room service than today's finest hotels. And best of all, it didn't cost a dime. Of course, they didn't have dimes back then, but you know what I mean. It didn't cost anything. Now, things are about to change. Oy, Gewalt. Oy. Bnei Yisrael is approaching the entrance to the promised land, where these miracles are going to go away, and they're going to have to be replaced by responsibility. Responsibility. Everyone had to be responsible for themselves and each other. No more miracles. Moshe knows he's not going with them. Nope. He was now 120 years of age. He is sharp. He's eloquent. He continues to give instructions. And this proves that some leaders retire only after finishing a last very long sermon. This one's not like that. So Moshe's challenge is enormous. He must prepare Bnei Yisrael for war, nationhood, faith, law, and life without him. You know, think about this. If Moshe was here leading us today, and he said to us, after what he did all this time, they only knew him. He was the only leader they had, except for those three that I mentioned. What would you think? I mean, You think it would be causing a panic in the parking lot of Moab. They'd have a panic. Oh, he's not going to be here anymore. What are we going to do? So what does he do? He reviews the past. He teaches all the mitzvot and gives a few more. And he reminds them that their future depends on trusting Adonai and living with purpose. Moshe was there, but it was really God all along. It was Adonai. It wasn't Moshe who led them through. And it works. This is why Devarim is always read right before Tisha B'Av. The Haftorah of Chazon from Yeshayahu reminds us that the destruction of the temple was not only a tragedy of losing a building and stones. That wasn't the point. The bigger tragedy was of our behavior. We were unjust, we were selfish, we were corrupt, and finally, we started to have and experience a thing called Sinat Chinam. Sinat Chinam is baseless hatred. We hated without any reason. God doesn't need much help from us to get in trouble. Nope, God doesn't need it. We can get in trouble all by ourselves. We are very good at it. We human beings are remarkably talented in that department in getting in trouble. We just know how. The harder task is not to get in trouble, but to get back on the right path. It's so easy to get in trouble. It's so hard to get back on the right path. So for that, we have the Torah. We have the mitzvot. We need humility, and we need each other. In our time, there is one public servant who seemed to understand deep in his bones the long trials and tribulations of the Jewish people and the fragile miracle of the state of Israel. And that, of course, was someone we lost last week, Senator Lindsey Graham. And the Jews knew it. We felt it. Across the spectrum of Jewish life, organizations and leaders mourned his passing and spoke with one voice about his steadfast friendship, his loyalty, his courage, and his unwavering commitment to our people and to Israel. In moments when support was easy, he stood with us, of course. But much more importantly, in moments when support was difficult, as time is going on and anti-Semitism was rising, the hatred for Israel was rising. It was costly and lonely for him, but he still stood with us, never wavered. I came to know this firsthand. Over the years, beyond hearing him speak and appear many times publicly, as we all have, I had the privilege of meeting personally with Senator Graham on 3 occasions in Washington, D.C. As with any public figure, I got to tell you, there was many, many things upon which we never saw eye to eye. And I don't pretend otherwise. I didn't agree with him on every issue. Nobody did. How could you? I don't agree with anybody on every issue. But when it came to the safety of the Jews and the dignity of the Jews and the security of Israel and the moral necessity of standing against those who seek our destruction, there was no ambiguity, no hesitation, and no political calculation. His support was 100% absolute. It was heartfelt. It was dependable, and at a time when the Jewish people are once again reminded how lonely our place in the world is, that kind of friendship is not and must not be forgotten. From that perspective, Senator Lindsey Graham must be remembered with gratitude and respect and with genuine sorrow. He will be sorely missed. With that in mind, as we approach Tisha B'Av on Wednesday evening, we listen again to Moshe's final words with an even greater sense of urgency. Devarim tells us that the future of Am Yisroel depends not on miracles alone. Yeah, we need miracles, but not on miracles alone, but on memory, responsibility, and the courage to do better. Am Yisroel Chai. The people Israel live, but only if each of us says, if it is to be, it is up to me. Shabbat Shalom and Am Yisroel Chai.